So as a resident of New York, and as someone who thinks that this guy's going to be the mayor, I don't want him to be at war with the Jewish community or those who believe he's anti-Semitic. You listen to that answer, he said he's not. Let's take him at his word. Let's have the conversation. He's not national security advisor, he's not Secretary of State, but the mayor of New York City does have foreign policy. He does, if he wins, he will have a lot of Jewish constituents. I think it's incumbent upon the media, those who are skeptical of him, and Mamdani himself to start to address these issues as he did there. I don't think you could listen to that and say on the face of it, he's hostile to the Jewish community or hostile to Israel, but he does have a different point of view. And it's a point of view that's very different than our other recent New York mayors, all of whom have been aggressively, some might say stridently pro-Israel. He's going to have to deal with that. The thing he said about Netanyahu, right? He's going to have to deal with these things, and he should deal with them the way he did in that interview up front. This is an extraordinary story if this guy becomes mayor for so many reasons. There should be and there will be focus on his past statements of controversy. There should and would be focus of the policy positions he's taken on his core issues of helping the economy. There also should be focus, I think, on the extraordinary reality that a young Muslim American went from obscurity at the beginning of this race, he was at 1%, to becoming, I think, the next mayor of New York. And it matters not just because New York's a big city. And it matters not just because Democrats and Republicans are going to fight on the meaning and use him as a symbol. It matters because we're in a time of extraordinary change when rising interest in younger politicians, not 80-year-olds, but people in their 30s and 40s, that's in. The older folks are being phased out. And it comes at a time when all the other issues in the world, the president's at NATO and he's being called daddy. We're dealing with Ukraine, we're dealing with Iran, we're dealing with trade issues. There's a lot going on in the world. But for most Americans, what matters is what this guy realized that he needed to focus on, not just to win, but to govern effectively and address the needs of the people of this city, which, despite New York's oddness and difference, are the needs and wants of all the people around the country who are in the working class, which is, how do we stop this long-term trend away from things being unaffordable? This inflation that we went through in the Biden years and after COVID, this question of jobs, this questions of affordability, of housing and education and everything else, this is the stuff of life for real people that has nothing to do with politics, but it is the politicians who play the biggest role, particularly on things like affordability of the basics, who we must look to solve the problems. And this guy says he can.